Hello, this is my At Promise group presentation. For this presentation, I chose to focus on homeless youth and the supports that they can get in the school setting. I first wanted to start off by defining what At Promise really means. So students who have previously been labeled as at risk due to factors like homelessness or other barriers in their education are now being considered at promise. This term focuses on the potential of these students, and we as educators must understand how to identify and support the needs of at promise groups. To understand how to target barriers for students, we need to understand what those barriers really are. So I have 4 common barriers for homeless youth that I've included. The first being lack of stable housing. A lack of stable housing can impact students' attendance. Frequent relocation can affect grades, and it can also result in them falling through the cracks of screenings due to not staying at schools long enough for the screeners to indicate that they're struggling. They can also have different priorities. One of the academic journals by Jay Williams shared that a student noted that she would appreciate resources to better support her when she's used as childcare for her younger siblings. So if that's a priority for her, then academics might fall below that. Another barrier can be mental health struggles. Students who experience homelessness are rarely delivered adequate mental health services from outside providers, which really emphasizes the importance of making sure that we can provide those resources in the school setting. Under-identification is also an important barrier to consider. Researchers have revealed that almost half of the students that they assessed for special education in homeless shelters qualified, but only 1/4 of those students were actually receiving special education services. Students who live transient lifestyles can be overlooked by the school system due to the lacks of attendance and frequent relocation that were previously mentioned. What we can do as school psychologists is play a really big role in the issue because we serve as both a part of the special education team as well as one of the only mental health providers on campus. Connecting to McKinney-Vento services and advocacy can bridge gaps for these students who are experiencing homelessness. It's important for us to understand how we can identify unhoused students who might need support. Data collection is a really huge part of the MTSS and PBIS framework, which includes great tools in identifying and supporting at-need students. There's programs like SWIS and ARIES or whatever kind of attendance tracker your school uses, which can be used to be made aware of housing, where someone's living, chronic absenteeism, behaviors, and other telltale signs of housing instability. Informal check-ins with students who are exhibiting the external characteristics of homelessness can help us to foster relationships and open communication with these students. Low-income students report that having a close, positive, and supportive relationship with at least one adult in the school setting leads to them doing better academically than those who don't have that same support. Community resources are also great to partner with. McKinney-Vento homeless liaisons can provide further insights to children with housing instability as well as information on their cases for us to consider. They can also help with connecting these students with appropriate resources like shelters, social workers, and outside providers. Referrals from teachers and administration are also super important to us. They can let us know about students who are struggling that we might not otherwise see. Many students, especially those who are already feeling outcast due to either their low income status or homeless status, might not feel as compelled to seek out school counselors or providers out of fear that it will further alienate them from their peers. So referrals can connect us with students who may not otherwise be willing to reach out. MTSS supports these at-promise students through universal and targeted interventions. SEL and systems to promote attendance, engagement, and a positive school climate are already embedded into the MTSS framework. A school psychologist who is involved with universal efforts to assess students' academic, emotional, and behavioral functioning can meet regularly with the homeless liaison to assess the progress of homeless students on these indicators as well as to review other meaningful data related to student success and well-being. Additionally, this can provide perspective on if students are not responding to universal supports and need more direct interventions. So Tier 2 and 3 Targeted interventions can be implemented at the discretion of the team to further support needs. Specifically for unhoused students, this might look like attendance success plans, community resources, school-based therapy, or assessments if they're deemed necessary. As previously mentioned, there are many ways to target attendance for students facing housing instability. A big thing to note is McKinney-Vento students are to be provided transportation services through the district if they're relocated due to their housing instability, but there are also other methods of promoting attendance. Attendance review meetings can create thoughtful supports and incentives to get kids to school, which also opens communication between the school and family to create a better relationship. This at-promise group of students can be more likely to face mental health struggles while simultaneously having a more difficult time getting access to mental health supports outside of school. MTSS and PBIS embed social-emotional learning throughout the school day and within the classrooms, but there's other things we can do as well. Small group or individual counseling can provide homeless students with continued strategies and skills for their mental health. Informal check-ins can remind students that they have a trusted adult to talk to about their mental health, and we can collaborate with community partners or make referrals to places like free counseling services within the county, other county resources, or housing supports. It's important to be aware of our own biases, how we nurture culture, and our relationships with students. Students may feel less inclined to speak to those who they think don't understand the trials that they're going through. If we're ignorant to the struggles that homeless students face, it makes them less likely to think that we could be there to support them. It's also important that we nurture students' culture as well as their goals and aspirations. This does not just include being aware of their demographic and culture, but also what makes up their culture and the person that they are as a whole, looking at each person individually. Students voiced a need for counselors to nurture their aspirations and engage in informal support systems to support their academic success. We should also consider providing them with life skills. As previously mentioned, the sister who watches her siblings could use support as a provider in her home. And now that we're made more aware of how to identify these at-promise students, we can go out of our way to really practice being competent, avoiding our own biases, and using these tools to foster relationships with these students. Here are the references for the academic journals that I used for this assignment. And thank you so much for watching.